Welcome to Friday Night Live, a show that brings information, inspiration, and hope to your homes. Why don't you text a friend, call someone, and invite them to join us as we have a conversation on the COVID vaccine. Tonight I have with me my guest, Dr. Euton Laing. He is a family physician and a bishop as well. So we have a blending of both worlds. I'm sure we'll have a wonderful conversation as we talk about the COVID vaccine. And Dr. Laing, welcome to Friday Night Live.
Well, thank you so much, and it's really a pleasure being with you because, as you pointed out clearly, we really want to give out information and have people be able to be knowledgeable to make decisions about, especially right now, the COVID pandemic.
Yes, awesome. And I was reading some statistics, and this was alarming to me that the U.S. military, about 1/3 of the soldiers, the persons in the U.S. military, are refusing to take the vaccine. And that was alarming to me because I thought, they would have the information necessary to give them that information to desire to take the vaccine. And so many people, even in the body of Christ, they are skeptical, they're misinformed. And tonight we want to use this forum, this platform, to be able to have the conversation, to help people to become sensitized to the importance of taking the vaccine and what it's all about.
Yep. I mean, it's very important. And I think one of the issues you're seeing, and not just the military, but across the country, across the world, it's really a lot of misinformation and false information, I'll even say, that is out there right now. And so people are confused. And actually, as I was talking in one of our other programs, I can't really blame people for feeling the way they do, because of course we have the history of some of the issues that went down, especially in people of color in this country. And then all of the information that is out there on the internet, over the news waves, that is conflicting. So of course people are becoming, conflicted in their thoughts. Yes. So I think this is why one thing I propose to everybody to do is really look at the information, listen to it, read it for yourself, get it, not just go on what someone is telling you, but really, because once you have the necessary information, then you can even go in prayer, with that and talk to your God, and then you come up with each individual what is best for you. Mm-hmm.
And so the thing about information, information sometimes is hard. The true and right information is hard to find and get. How do we navigate between those kinds of videos that are popping up all over the place? You sometimes on your phone, you get several videos per day talking about the fears and the peril of taking the vaccine. How do we find the right information?
I think the best way to go about it, you're going to be bombarded, as I said, with all kinds of information. Number one, whatever information, you should see what is the source of that information and make sure it's a credible source. I mean, a lot of the information out there, you'll see even a person talking, they may even say they're a physician, they don't tell you where they're from, their credentials. I actually kind of weed those out. Right. And just put those to the side. So first of all, you need to see a source that you can then look into the source to make sure that's credible. I mean, the information from the CDC, I can say, for at least now, is pretty accurate. And at least that's a stand-in background source you can look at, and you can match other things up to that source. Speak to your personal physician, would be a good way to do it. Somebody that you have a rapport with, that are going to kind of help to guide you. So I think it's really just being judicious about it, and not just to jump on every bandwagon, but really to look at it. And of course, especially the people of faith, we're people of faith, so we know that God is going to steer us right. So we also have that to then to reflect on as well.
Right. Mm-hmm. Yes. Mm-hmm. And so there are three different types of vaccines, or rather there are 3 different companies supplying this vaccine. Which company do you think has the best vaccine of the 3?
Now, let me answer this in a little different way.
Okay.
As is to say, it's not as one is better than the other. You have to actually, of the ones that are available in the U.S. right now, there's actually 2 kind of main systems. Let's put it that way. One is the messenger RNA based, and then you have that is either the Pfizer or the Moderna. And those are quite similar, actually, because the system of how they're produced is really very same. A lot of people were skeptical about the messenger RNA, like how come all of a sudden this shows up? And, is this something new? But believe it or not, they've been working on the mRNA kind of as a vector since the 1950s. And if you do the research, you'll actually see, and that's what I was talking about, knowing what we're talking about. If you do the research, you'd actually see that has been around. So it was really a perfect storm in a way, because we needed a vaccine. This technology was being worked on, and from some of the basic work, they could then really use this. And of course, just so in money talks, the government basically opened up their checkbook and say, just do whatever you have to do. And therefore, we see a quick response. But all that technology is being worked on, even from the Ebola virus, they've been working on that technology. So that's the one type, and with that, how that works, it's really the messenger RNA really brings a message into your cell. It does not go into the nucleus of the cell, so it does not do anything to your DNA, nothing at all. But it then tells the ribosomes in the cell to make this protein that looks like the spike protein of the virus. So it's really kind of let your system sees this as something foreign that is now made, and then your body will build up the defense against it. And then both the Moderna and the Pfizer, that's the technology that they use. The J&J vaccine uses a little different technology. It actually uses a different technology, same like the technology we use to make the flu shots. Where you use an adenovirus, an attenuated adenovirus as a vector. So it's a virus that is, engineered not to cause a problem, but that is a vector to get, again, this message into the cell, and then the cell makes this spike protein, and the body develops it. And that's why the J&J one you can treat differently. It doesn't have to be at the low temperatures, different technology. So, to get back to your question, so which one? So I really don't recommend one over the other per se, but you just have to understand you have the 2 types. I mean, if you ask me personally, I would probably get one of the messenger RNA just because the efficacy of that was a little bit higher. More than 90% as opposed to the 70% in the J&J. So that's really the differences that you see there. But if I am out on an island and that's all I can get is the J&J, I would also go ahead. Right now, as a matter of fact, for Europe, they actually have the AstraZeneca, which is similar technology to the J&J. And as a matter of fact, most of the islands, that's the only ones they can afford. So a lot of people, like for example, Jamaica, and I'm Jamaican actually, that's the only one that's available there. And so you see, it really depends on where you are, what's available, and I think to have a vaccine makes sense. And of course, you're gonna look at it, get all the details, then make a decision on your part if this is something that you're gonna do.
What do you say to someone, because we have individuals in our local congregation who took the vaccine and they chose to take the Johnson & Johnson. What would you say to people who have taken the Johnson & Johnson because it has been suspended for a while because of blood clots? What do you say to someone who have taken that, and should they be nervous, concerned?
No, not at all. They shouldn't be nervous, shouldn't be concerned. Actually, and if they have had it more than 3 weeks, then they're probably not the issue with the blood clots is not gonna be there. All right, so that's kind of what, and actually to talk about that a little bit, out of about 6 to 7 million doses that have been administered, there were 6 cases.
Oh, wow.
All right, and it was in females, and it was in younger females. So they were all under 50 and females. So why they suspended it while they look at it, and they're gonna look over the next 2 weeks, of course, to see if there's anybody else that come down with a complication in the other age group. A corollary to that, in Europe, they did see some blood clots with that AstraZeneca from that same technology. Again, out of millions, they only had 18 cases. And again, it was younger females. So it's not clear yet. So they're looking at that. I think, and as a matter of fact, some of the European countries are using it are still using it, but using it in the older age group, 50 and above, for that issue. So this causation is not sure. Is it a cause and effect? Is it something particular in those people? We'll see with time to see why that came about. But I think just for anybody getting this, and there's still people, again, over the world who are still getting it, maybe not here, and I think by next week they're going to come out with a recommendation.
Right, great. If someone contracts COVID virus, should they take the vaccine?
The answer to that is yes. They should take it. They can maybe wait a little bit now, but you still want, this would just boost your overall immunity. Of course, if you are having symptoms and you're sick, you're not going to take it at that time. Okay. All right, you'd wait till you don't have symptoms on a later date, because at the time of your symptoms, your body is reacting. Your body is doing its kind of defense, and if you bring something else in, it may not respond as well. Also, if you by
almost like an overload.
Also, if you by any chance were sick enough where you got the antibody treatment, or that Recumvac treatment that they have, that you need to wait 90 days after that treatment before you get the vaccine, because that would also almost just make the vaccine not get due diligence and give you the immunity that you need. Yep.
I've heard, I'm not sure if it's a fact, that you need to take the vaccine maybe 6 months, a few months after you have taken it again, because it's not as
the word is still out, and so it's not clear the antibodies that you develop, are they going to be, for example, think back of some of our older stuff like the measles, mumps, rubella. Those you develop antibodies that are almost lifetime immunity. They're not clear if this is going to be the case as yet. So far, they have actually studied it out about 6 months. Most of those people are still covered. They're maybe seeing some waning. So I think the last word I heard on that, they're maybe thinking about you may need a shot every year, potentially. Okay. Potentially. Kind of like, especially also, and I know we're going to talk a little bit about that, but especially with the variants that are there, you may need to make sure you're covering the appropriate variant. For example, I can give you an example with the flu, influenza. That's the reason why we get a shot every year, because there are many variants, and they actually do a statistical analysis to see which variants are going to be popular this particular year coming, and then make the vaccine to cover those variants. So, so this is one of the reasons why you need a yearly vaccine where that is concerned. So we're not sure, and I think by this time next year, I think we're going to have a lot more answers, because it's been about a year. We're still learning. We're still learning any other things that are happening, and so it's going to take some time.
There's a whole lot of fear. A lot of people are afraid because it's unknown. We are in unknown territory. The world has changed. COVID virus has changed the world, so people are afraid. And could you just reiterate some of the things that we need to do to just ensure that we can still enjoy our lives? Because a lot of people think, oh my goodness, and this has led to a lot of depression.
Oh, yes.
And, stress. We can still enjoy our lives and still be careful at the same time. Some of the things, if we could reiterate some of the things that we need to consistently do, because as we go into 2021 and 2022, people are kind of becoming tired of the routine, and they're becoming lax. Some of the things that we could do, if we could reiterate that.
Yeah, well, I think that's a very good points to go over, because I think, for example, I try to explain to everyone that is, we need to just understand as much as we can about the virus, then how it's spread, what things to look for, and then we're gonna appropriately, follow the steps. Wearing a mask, for example, is really, I think, one of the essential things. And a lot of people are missing that even after you've gotten the immunization, you still need to to protect everybody else. Yeah, of course, about once or 2 weeks have been passed, you should be fully immune, but they're still also not clear, are you then could be the carrier? And even though it does not affect you, but could you then potentially still be a carrier? This we'll find out soon, and be able then to spread it to somebody who's not immunized. So that's why the wearing of the mask is essential. They also, when you just been immunized, that doesn't have reasons to stop wearing the mask, because of course it's going to be a 2 to 3 week period before your body actually develops that immunity. So you're still a potential person to get sick. And we have seen a few people, and a few people have been upset. Well, I got my immunization, why did I come down with the coronavirus? But it was probably that window period.
Yes, the process.
For your body to develop it. So wearing the mask, washing of hands, I keep telling people, I know everybody is into these sanitizers and stuff. They're fine if you're on the go. When you're home or when you're a place you can wash your hands. Do the, say the Lord's Prayer. It's about the appropriate time.
There's no substitute for washing of hands.
Soap and water, it kills pretty much everything for the most part. And I think that is one of the things I think some people are missing, because sometimes they're using the sanitizers. It's, some of them are a little sticky. You're more liable to pick things up, so wash hands. But when you're out and you can't wash hands, you're going to sanitize. The distancing is also very, very important. Because one of the issues in some of the studies that they have done, initially they were saying, especially in a closed area, 6 feet is really the minimum. But actually, if you're speaking, if you're singing, especially for the churches, if you're speaking, singing, you're actually projecting, and that thing is going probably 20 feet, the particles. So, and I think this is one of the reasons.
And they stay in the atmosphere for a while.
That's not a key point. So the small particles do stay in the atmosphere. And even those people, because I went to one church and like, well, we have our plexiglass. Well, I said, unless your plexiglass goes to the roof and on the sides, and it has a little door and it has a vacuum on it, then I'm still wearing my mask, because there's particles that's over and around. And especially, you're just finished speaking, somebody walks into your space without a mask. And that's how I've seen people, the minute they walk up, they take the mask off, but you're now in the space where the person just was. And as a matter of fact, I know a couple of churches that are closing down for a couple of weeks now because they had so much outbreak. And it was more in the praise team, that area where they usually do the no mask. So I'm just, stressing. If we were in the island, it'd be great, because we'd open the windows for ventilation. Yes. So if you have that access, and then some of the newer buildings that they're putting in a special ventilation system that actually is sucking out that air, and there's no recirculation of the air. So that's, so I think we just have to start thinking in that step. And I think even, non-corona time, there may be something else coming along. So I think we should start using all these technologies that we have developed to try to prevent. So the key thing, I think, though, is having a barrier that's going to protect you, and of course, in the long run, protect others. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So those are probably the main things that you need to do to prevent you. Mm-hmm.
Why some people have a negative effect when they take the vaccine? Some take the vaccine and they're fine. Others take the vaccine and they have to go to the hospital for a few days. What is going on?
It goes back to a couple of things. And this is one of the reasons I said, everyone is an individual. My immune system may be a little bit more robust than yours. The next person's may be not as robust. So everybody's going to react differently. And actually, the reaction when you take the vaccine is actually not a bad thing, because what it tells you is that your body is fighting. Your body is doing what it's supposed to do. Some people, though, have a milder response than others, and it's just based on their genetic makeup. Also, some people are overall more healthier. than others. And one of the things that I preach all the time, I teach all the time, is overall good health.
Yeah.
And I think that's something I think we should also stress, to go back to even prevention, because the healthier your body is, the more likely, even if you got something, that you're going to be able to fight it off. More so than you have a body that you're not sleeping, you're stressed out, you're run down, that person is going to do much worse than a person whose overall system is healthy. So I think that's one thing I think as people we should really teach is healthy living, which is really the important thing. Yeah.
That is powerful because prevention is better than cure.
All the while. Yeah.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
And if we ensure that our immune systems are robust and we eat well, we rest well, we can prevent a whole lot of not just COVID virus illness,
everything else,
all types of illnesses.
Yeah, and then I think so. People just have to realize that my system is different than yours. And God is just awesome, and He knows how to. He made us, each one of us unique in some way. And I think we just have to take in mind the key point, though, and I tell others also. You look out for the symptoms you're going to see of even when you get the vaccine are similar to if you get the disease, because of course your body is setting up the same response to a similar looking foreign body. You can look at it that way. So really you'll see that. So, but usually with the vaccine, the systems, yes, some people are just, we don't know their other comorbidities, what else is going on, so they may react a little bit different. Yeah, but usually the symptoms from the vaccine last about 48 hours. And for the most part, we see everybody, my one family member called me just, oh man, I have this fever. I said, great, take some Tylenol, drink some fluids, and go to bed.
Yeah.
Next day she called me, still have a little, good. Take some Tylenol, drink some fluids, go to bed. The next day, oh, I'm fine now. So you really just have to, be prepared. If you get any symptoms. I mean, I actually personally got Moderna, and I really just had a sore arm, a little bit of something, even after the second one. And while I have other people who have a fever and what's the like. So each person is just an individual.
Differently.
And different system makeup. Mm-hmm.
And so we have to be aware, that awareness of, the side effects, because sometimes we could hear conversations and stories about people who had a fever, were feeling upset and had to go to the hospital, and then we decide, well, I'm not going to take the vaccine.
And a lot of times, sorry to cut you, a lot of time we don't hear what happened when they went to the hospital. 90% of them, they tell you, go home, nothing is wrong with you. But you don't hear the other part of the story either. And I think that's how I look at things in general. And especially when the person tell me this happened, I said, okay, well, what else happened? Just to get the full story. Because as we were saying before, there's so many false things that are out there. For example, I don't know if you had heard in the news of one person claimed, they got Bell's palsy after getting the shot. Look at it in this way. The natural incidence of Bell's palsy in this country is about 2%. Every year, 2% of the population come down with Bell's palsy. That's not talking about coronavirus or anything. Amongst the people getting the coronavirus, it was 0.2%. So you couldn't even say there's a cause and effect because it's much less than placebo, or much less than the natural occurrence. And it turns out this person that exaggerated the story. After further research, she was not a nurse. No, she made up half of the story. So there's so many things out there that I tell people, just, you can digest what you can, check with the facts, and also, again, I go back to it, pray. Because I don't think God is going to lead you in the wrong direction.
Exactly.
So I think you have to put it all together. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And know the difference between facts and fear.
Yes, definitely. Yes. That's an important one.
And go with the facts. Don't go with fear.
And fear, and we can do another program, but fear has taken over even the church.
Yes.
In such and stress. I mean, the amount of stressors and the reaction to stress, has caused such a problem, for people, and then that leads to the depression, as we were mentioning before. So that's one of the things that I stress a lot as well. Be honest with you, in my practice as a family doctor, most of my days is really, taken up by dealing with people who are stressed out, and that much more than you would even think. And so I think that's one of the things that the enemy is trying to use, especially amongst the church, to bring us down, is to get us to fear. But we have to go back to the scriptures. God has not given us the spirit of fear. And we have to then work upon that. And how do we fix that? We get the knowledge we need, we get the facts, and we pray. Wow. We have that communication with God.
This is great material, great information. And when we come back after the commercial break, we'll be talking about the variants.
Welcome to Divine Dress Code, your one-stop shop for all your printing needs. We specialize in custom printing on t-shirts, masks, and also ethnic or African print masks and the matching head wraps. We also make prayer pillows with custom printing on it. To learn more about our business, give us a call at 732-485-0977. We look forward to doing business with you. God bless.
Laing Mentorship Institute is an educational environment intentionally tailored for you to develop, activate, and perfect your dormant giftings. You were created to be and do so much more. Allow us to help you to activate those God-given potentials that lie deep inside of you. You know you were created for greatness, but for far too long, you have allowed fear, procrastination, and other enemies of your purpose to hold you hostage. Allow us to come alongside you to expand and increase your potential. Call us today at 908-226-0223, extension 103, and register today for Laing Mentorship Institute. Allow yourself the opportunity to grow and be all that God has called you to be. Register today. You are worth the investment. We are back continuing our conversation with Dr. Euton Laing on the vaccine. And we have been getting some really great information from an expert. And we want to continue this conversation. We want to talk about the variants. We thought that, hey, it was COVID-19, and then lo and behold, after 12 months, we're hearing about variants and different strains of COVID-19. Talk to us about how does variants come about?
Very good question. And actually, viruses, on a general rule, they're pretty shrewd, and they find a way of, if you're trying to kill me, I'm gonna try to do something that look different, taste different, and so I can survive. So that's just a given with viruses, and that's actually what set viruses apart from one of the things that set viruses apart from bacteria. Now, so basically, once your virus finds a host that it can live in and infect, it then goes to replicating, to making more copies of itself. It gets into the whole system and does that. It needs a live host though to do that. It needs somebody who is susceptible for it to do that. And one of the things it does is, once it does that, it replicates, and then it mutates. That is, it's going to change its genetic makeup. It may change one little molecule here, there, so that it will either become more resilient. Not all of the mutations are great for the viruses. Some of the mutations make it weaker, and those are then killed off. But then the stronger ones, and those that are mutated in a positive way for the virus, then becomes like a different variant. So it's not the exact replica now of the original. It's like a slightly changed original, the way to think about it. And so those are then the variants. Now, we have the same thing with the flu, the influenza. If you remember, we were talking a little bit about that before. So, but it seems that, however, those seem to take a little longer time to develop, to mutate and a little slower. But this coronavirus seems to be very fast at that. And so therefore you have variants. The good news is that what they've found that most of the variants so far, the vaccines still actually work.
Good.
So of course, there's maybe more coming. Now the point where this is why they, and I know there's some school of thought said we should probably not vaccinate everybody, wait that have the natural immunity. But if you wait for herd immunity naturally to happen, we're probably going to lose millions more people because it's going to have to go through a certain amount to then the people to begin, those survive and then. So once about those 70% to 80% of the population, either through natural immunity or through vaccination, are now protected, then you're going to find that the vaccine, the virus is going to actually not have as many vectors, people, to work into to mutate into that. So you're going to then start seeing less variants, and actually, say 80% of the people are immune. Then that vaccine is going to find very few people to replicate in. And basically, the fact that there's less, then there's going to be less people to spread it. So that's really what what the aim is of getting everybody vaccinated. So it's going to do one thing even for the variants, we should see less variants popping up when more people are immunized. And then we should see, just less replication going on. So I think in the big scheme of things, variants are a given because we're dealing with virus. This is how they function. And then again, some of the variants may, get not so strong, they get knocked off, but then there may be some strong ones, as we see the one from Europe and that is there. So I think to understand it is just the best thing. So therefore, I still think the best thing is to getting more people protected, more people, have the defense system, so that we can then prevent even the amount of variants that are coming on the scene.
I've heard that the younger aged people are getting the variants. Does that mean that the variants are stronger?
Well, what I think it is think about it this way. The younger aged people are their immune system, they think, even when this whole advent seems to have been more robust. So even if they got the infection, they were not having as many symptoms. Not 100%, but more percentage of the younger people were doing better. So I think what happened is the younger people, you'll probably find that the variants, are the virus is saying, listen, these people are strong. I got to really do something. So think about it that way. So we're seeing more of the variants. And now we're seeing the younger people, for one. If I just saw a study today, a lot of them are not following the rules, and doing things. So they're more exposed to the virus. And of course, the more exposure that you have, then there's more replication going on, more mutation going on. So you're going to probably see more. What you're going to see in the younger people is probably more of the variants, just from that fact. So I think we're seeing a lot of that now. So the big wave of the older people right now, and even where the vaccination is concerned, a lot more of the older people are now vaccinated. First, we did them first, number one, and they were more receptive, actually, than some of the younger people. So we're seeing a drastic shift now in this whole system now. So now the hospitals, the people in the hospitals are the 30 to 60 to 50-year-olds. That's versus what was happening before.
And I think with the younger generation, the challenge that they have is, sometimes we have to see it from their eyes. The challenge that they have is they want to move, they want to produce, they want to go about their lives. And so all the litany of the 6 feet, wear your mask, etc., that is kind of like an impediment. It's difficult. And so we have to develop that and know that this is a new norm. We have to ensure that we stay safe and keep others safe as well.
And I think that's why the education, the knowledge, I think, is because they're smart. The young people are smart. Yes, they may be more defiant, just as this whole generational thing. However, I think as we keep, explaining and doing it, we're going to see. But you have to also, I really I try to really not be political, but you have to see some of the political shifts, especially in America, has caused us to be a lot where we are now, because it wasn't so embraced as this is a problem, we need to fix it. It was like, this is a problem, it's going to go away. And
but now we're more aware.
So now we're more aware.
Awareness.
So I think we're going to see now a difference even in that amount of happening. And I think that's one thing I want to tell people: just be aware, understand stuff for yourself. I don't care who, I even tell my congregation, I'm the bishop, but even if I tell you something, go to the Bible, correlate it, make sure it did make sense. Yeah. That's fine with me. And that's, in the medical stance, I tell my patient, I'm the physician, I'm telling you this, but you live with yourself 24/7. You're going to know yourself much better than I'm ever going to know you. So the little nuances that you have. So that's why you have to look at things from that standpoint, and not just always, okay, well, I know the older generation, doctor, tell me what to do. But my thing is, I want to teach you what is the right thing, and then you have to make a decision based on the knowledge.
Yes, and know your body, understand how your body functions. So yes, I was speaking to someone recently, and they said they went for a test, and they were told that they had the antibodies already, and they said it means that I had the virus and didn't know. What are some of the symptoms?
Yeah, well, there's a couple of things there, and let me answer something first, and then I'll answer your question. The coronavirus itself has actually been around, not in this same form. So there's actually some people, and just to guard people, don't relax on that when they do the antibody test, shows that they're immune, but it's not necessarily, they have to do more specific testing, that is necessarily to the COVID-19, that they're immune. So that's also part of that story. However, remember now, as we were saying before, there's some people who, for example, we both are exposed, your system is, stuff and immune, you have no symptoms. And I have, body aches, fever, chills, loss of taste, loss of smell, headaches, abdominal pain, diarrhea, and I'm up to 8, but then there's some more. So somebody may have all of those, 1 or 2 of those symptoms, or none. So you can be totally exposed to being and testing positive and have no symptoms as well, especially initially in the younger people. That was very common. So that's the other reason why, is the protection, doing what you can to prevent the spread was so important. And that's the other thing that the people don't understand. You do the questionnaire, the screening, right, for people coming into service. Yes. All right, I can answer no to everything, and I'm not lying. I don't have them. I come in here and we have service, and of course I take my mask off and I run around. Not that we're doing that, just making a point. And then tomorrow, hey, my work required me to test. I actually test positive. I still have no symptoms, but I was just running around and probably spreading the virus. So this is why I think it's so important that until we have pretty much 80% of the people are immunized and such, or have had the disease and have natural immunity, that we have to do this, because it's really, really so important. And then, of course, the person who may have no symptoms now, they probably, it's replicating, mutating, they may be where one of the other variants starts up. And then you see how it goes back and forth and back and forth.
And moves around.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
With regard to quarantining, say a family member of someone contracts the virus, what are some of the measures that we should put in place or take to ensure that it's not spreading in the family? That's
very, very important, because I can give you various scenarios where a whole family, one person did not get it because they were in another part of the house, and they kind of stayed to their thing. So really, if possible, and one person, and I think some of the other cities do it, if it's not like one person come down with it, and that maybe the person was out about, if possible, and you can quarantine them to an area where just maybe 1 or 2 person have to check in on them, make sure they have everything, that would be the best. Actually, if necessary, and you could afford it, send them to a hotel. Really separate them.
Yeah.
Or if they have another place they could go where nobody's there. So as much as you can, you want to do that separation, really as much as you can. So really totally separated if possible. If that's not possible, again, you have to be cognizant about it. The mask for everybody, the washing of the hands, what I'm saying, and then of course, really keep to that 6 foot, not closer than 6 feet.
And
possible.
sanitizing.
Sanitizing the surfaces, are very, sanitize all the surfaces, and of course, nobody try as best as possible not to share that space, that constant space with them. Yeah, but I think that's one of the issue where I think once someone in the house gets it, we see it kind of goes like wild because it's very hard one family.
Contain that.
Yeah, one family I know that did very well with it. While the person was infected, staying in the basement. They basically, nobody went there. They basically bring them stuff down, leave it at the door, and really, then everybody else in the house wore a mask when they're around each other. And they were able to contain it to the one person. Others, I know but then it just went around the whole house.
Wow. Mm-hmm. I'd like you, Dr. Laing, to look in the camera and speak to that person who is vulnerable, is fearful. They have underlying situations with regard to their health, and they're still hesitant about taking the vaccine. Sell that to them.
Well, I think what I would say to everybody, and then I'm going to narrow it down, is you are created by God, you're a child of God. The Lord knows all about your function and not your being. If you are fearful, all right, that is going against actually what God wants for you. And then how do you take care of that? You go to God. So number one, I want you to make it a point of prayer where you're talking to God about it. And if you're not a praying person, then I want you to now couple that with the facts that is out there. The important facts that this is a real pandemic. I don't care what anybody else says, it's real. And for those people who have underlying conditions, it's even more severe because you're more prone, older age group, diabetes, hypertension, heart disease, all of those risk factors are going to make you more vulnerable because in general, most of those have some kind of inflammation in your system and therefore your immune system has to work order or may not function as well. So you have to be super careful. Now, the bottom line is, somebody will say, well, what if, this thing is going to cause me some detrimental stuff? It's a risk-benefit system that you must look at. So you have to look at your risk and what the level of risk you are at with an underlying condition and with all of that stuff versus the benefits. Now, especially now, millions of people have gotten the shot of the immunization, millions. All right, and we've seen, yes, some side effects, but compared to getting the full-blown disease, the side effects are minimal. And therefore, I think you have to really weigh it. And again, as I said, if you're a praying person, go to God and wait with Him as well, and then come up with that conclusion. Because my point is, and one person said to me, for example, is, what if it's the mark of the beast? I said, well, guess what? Based scripturally, it's not. Based on all the scriptures, and you can go back to the scriptures. We don't have the time to go deep into that right now. But based on that, it's not. But, all right, what you have to understand is you have a choice. With the mark of the beast, you don't have no choice. You're going to either say you're going to take it or not take it. And they're going to tell you what they're doing, okay? So you need to look at your condition, your position right now. Look at the facts, couple it with prayer, and you make that decision. I really do encourage it. Again, I'm not one to mandate stuff, but I encourage it strongly because I've seen the end result of people who have been very sick with this virus. And personally, I actually lost a sister. She was, and again, she had comorbidity. She was on dialysis, and she had a lot of chronic illnesses. And hers, this was even before there was a vaccine. She was gone. So now we have something that can help, to prevent and could save your life. So you have to make that decision, but I recommend it strongly for that you do.
That's good. And the Word of God tells us that my people are destroyed for lack of knowledge. The knowledge is there, and like Dr. Laing says, it's important to pray. And one of the things that we have been practicing in my family is the power of declaration. And Job 22:28 says, "You shall decree a thing, and it shall be established for you, and light shall shine upon your path."
Amen.
So we decree and declare every day,
yes,
COVID virus and all its variants, sickness, disease, and infirmity is far removed from me and anyone connected to me.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
And then we declare and decree that in faith, believing that as we decree it, it shall be established, what we have decreed. And light shall shine upon my path. That means understanding on how to go about your business, understanding on how to be compliant with the protocols. So it's important, not just as a child of God, as any person in the community, to be compliant with the protocols that have been established, as well as pray, do your declarations, and believe that God is able to preserve you. Believe that your purpose in this life is not fulfilled yet. And because you have not fulfilled purpose, you are not going to die or even get sick with the COVID virus. So fear not. God has not given us a spirit of fear, but of power, of love, and of a sound mind. And as we close tonight, Dr. Laing, thank you so much for coming and sharing these powerful points with us. We want to encourage you as soon as you can, because I think now in New Jersey, you can, everyone.
Yes, 16 and above, yeah.
16 and above can be vaccinated. Go on the website, the New Jersey government portal, make an appointment and be vaccinated. And getting the vaccination does not say that you don't have faith in God.
Definitely
God
not.
is with you, God is in you, and God is for you. Get vaccinated and go and live your best life. God bless you. It was great having you tune in tonight. And we are about saving lives, winning the loss, and encouraging you to live your best life.
Amen.
Dr. Laing, thank you for coming.
You're welcome.
Excellent information. We look forward to seeing you next month as we continue Friday Night Live.